Hello, friends. Welcome back to Feminine Roadmap. And we are here on YouTube today preparing us for the year of 2021. And to kick off the new year, I'm going to be talking with Linda Olson. She is the founder of Wealth Through Stories. She's a multiple best-selling author, and we're going to be talking about enjoying a breakthrough in the new year. Now, Linda is an expert on helping people identify their stories. So we're going to be gleaning some things from 2020 and really writing a story that's powerful and empowering in 2021. So, Linda, thank you so much for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
Well, I'm excited to get started. You and I have already had a good kind of chat about what we're going to talk about today. So, why don't you just jump right in to what it is that you want to share with my audience about how we can make 2021 an amazing year?
Well, the best place to start is really taking a look at 2020. And I know that many people don't want to take a look at that because it's been a painful and very difficult, challenging year for so many people. But I'll tell you what, unless we embrace 2020, we will not have the breakthrough that we want. I'm not saying we won't have any breakthrough, but not the breakthrough that we want in 2021.
Mm. And it's such a powerful process, isn't it, to take what we've experienced and glean the good from it, right?
Absolutely, it is. It was just last year when I had taken an intensive 4-month leadership program. It was really intense. And I remember meeting with my coach after that, and I made the comment, I'm really glad I did it, but I wouldn't want to do it again. And she really exhorted me. And she said, if you don't fully embrace those 4 months and all you went through, you will miss out on what's ahead. And so I just really had to stop and think about that. So when I got off the call, I made a conscious point of just listing as many things as I could of what I was grateful for. And I'm pleased to tell you, I mean, I came up with at least 25 solid things. And I thought, okay, it did really help me to move forward, but it's a lesson I won't forget.
But, I think that's the thing. Sometimes it takes really sitting down and looking, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because what happens if we don't, there's good in everything. And if we don't, aren't willing to take a look at it, it's like we're carrying the baggage into the next year. And who wants to do that? Who wants to carry that baggage? We want to start fresh and clean and just enjoy everything 2021 has for us.
I just recently posted the podcast about my year-end review, and one of the things that I talked about was this idea that even in an unusually difficult year like this year, there's always beauty in the ashes. There's gifts to be found. There's shards of light in the darkness. And there are, like you said, very difficult and painful things that people have experienced. But we can even look at those difficult things, can't we? And find something that we could take away from it that's good or beneficial.
Absolutely. You know the phrase that says there's a silver lining around every dark cloud. And it's kind of like, what are we focused on? Are we focused on the dark cloud, or are we focused on the silver lining? I mean, it may be as simple as just over this Christmas season, I had a few emails where people just truly expressed their thanks for my help. And it really touched me. It meant everything. Not that they hadn't said thank you before, they had many times, but I knew where it came from. It truly came from a grateful heart. And I thought, wow, that's just a great lesson, because if we can come from a grateful heart and look at, even though maybe overall the year was very difficult and challenging, there are still things to be grateful for.
I can honestly say that gratitude has been a really big key for me in getting through this year, looking for those things to be grateful for. You heard that phrase, what you focus on grows.
Mhm.
And it is so true. When we are focused on the negative or what makes us afraid, a lot of people have been living under fear and like stress and what it does to our bodies. And so I think we're banging the same drum saying, all right, yes, it's been hard. We're not denying the reality, but we're also saying, let's shift our perspective just enough so that we can really begin to kind of hoe the fields a little bit, you know, take the weeds out and find out that there is something good remaining once we remove those difficult and painful things. So, what is the encouragement that you have to help people if they've never done work like this? How can they begin?
Well, you know what? One of the best things that I have found is actually just to write down 10 things every day that you're grateful for. 10 things today. And so that tomorrow's uh, list of gratitude is different than today. And do you know that if you do that just 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, that in less than 5 months, you would have over 1,000 things that you're personal things that you're grateful for. And there's something amazing that changes. It's our mindset that changes because as I've done that over the years, I begin looking for things and I'm much more alert and aware of things. It may be as simple as a little comment that is made, a hug from a grandchild, whatever it is, but something that really just touches our soul. And that's just a fun way to start.
One of the things that I use is my environment. I try to find the clouds, maybe the song of a bird, like connecting to things helps me find gratitude as well.
That's a wonderful way. Absolutely.
Otherwise, I run out of things, you know, because we've all been sitting at home. It's like getting outside and just really being grateful for my breath, really being grateful for the sound of laughter of even other people that I don't know. And gratitude is such a great vehicle for healing as well.
Well, it is. And you said, even being grateful for a breath, it's the kind of things, those are the kind of things we just take for granted. And I've noticed when I've done that, and I'm a visionary person, so I'm not the detail person, but it has helped me to hone in on the detail, on the little things in life that really matter. Yes.
Yes, I'm with you. The details get a little lost sometimes. I love the big picture, but it's funny when I'm in nature, I'm watching those little things that bring me joy. So as someone is doing this practice of figuring out what were the actual good things that came from 2020, it could have been a conversation with someone. It could have been a good interaction, a positive interaction in the middle of a difficult day. You know, whatever those things were, what did we learn this year about ourselves, about our family members, and how can we turn that around? And I know that you and I talked about the idea of here's the story we have, and now we're going to kind of put a spin on it or rewrite it, tweak it a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your vision for how people can really transform 2021 after a year like 2020.
Well, I like the word you said. It's like rewriting our story so that we can have a great new ending to it. And I'm immediately what I thought about is I went through a period this summer where I was extremely vulnerable and I was taken back to the most painful moments in my life came totally unexpected. And I just felt like I call them giants. I had to face these giants. And believe me, there were 2 days of tears. But I refused to go back to that pain because I knew I had received complete healing. And now I realized my victory was that I had defeated those giants. and I had defeated them quickly. And that I took charge. I was not going to go back that. So it was part of, it's not that I didn't embrace the pain. I did, because that is part of what has to happen. And when we embrace it, we're in control of it rather than always trying to run from it. And that's a choice that we have. And as we do that, and in this new year, in my 5-day challenge called Breakthrough in a Moment, I'm going to show you some simple and easy steps that you can have breakthrough truly in a moment. Breakthrough, pain, heartache and pain can happen over a lifetime, but breakthrough can happen in a moment. And that is a choice. So we're going to have some fun the first week of the new year. 5 days. I purposely set it up to start Monday, January 4th, so that we can embrace this whole year, because the simple tools that I will show you and teach you during those 5 days, you can apply all year long. So the breakthroughs don't stop after 1 week. That's just a start to get you going.
One of the things that I'm going back to in this new year is really the idea of choosing a word that I want to focus on for the whole year. Finding a word that's going to embody what it is that 2021 is going to be focused on. And the word that's come to me this year is restoration. It's just going to need to be a season of restoration. There's a lot of different ways that I can take that. I was journaling and it came to me the other day. And that's one of the things that I think is helpful is for people to write, just write and let their mind untangle a little bit. Take a walk, don't listen to a podcast, just take a walk and let your mind be, and then come back and write. Because I think when we are identifying stories, if our tendency is what most people's tendency is to run from the pain, to try to avoid it, to pacify ourselves and, numb that, then we're going to be leaning toward the avoidance, and we have to be aware of the avoidance to shift that back. So in the new year, thinking about facing the giants could be a theme for 2021. It could be breakthrough. It could be focus, joy. It could be anything, but a word like that can help you when you get into a situation. It can help focus you and keep you from autopiloting back to the avoidance that we all have a tendency to do. Now, let me ask you this, Linda. When you work with people about identifying their stories and you help them really connect to those things and own them, right? Then what kind of results have you seen from people who apply the techniques that you share with them?
Oh my goodness. You know what? It's absolutely amazing. There's a new freedom. There's something inside that just happens. That's a release. For example, I had a lady I was working with, and her husband had passed away 8 years ago. And she had wanted to clean up her home, do an estate sale, either move closer to her children or something. Now, that was 8 years ago. She wanted to do that, and it just never really happened. And as I challenged her with a number of things, and she was in one of my programs, she did it in 3 months. 3 months. She had the place was for sale. It had cleaned up. Somebody had come along and supported her and helped her get it ready because it was her strength. And it just happened. It fell into place. I've had a number of people who have wanted to write a book. You know how that goes. It's like, oh yeah, people have told me for years I need to write a book.
Mhm.
But it's that whole idea of getting started and following through. And I've had several people follow through with their book, and it's like, wow. I mean, they are so excited that they actually completed something they wanted to do all their life. So it's that release, it's that freedom. It's like, I can make a decision. Now I'm in charge. Because if we don't embrace that pain, then we are driven by fear and pain. And who wants to spend their life doing that? It's another way of looking at it. And I
Mm.
love what you said about choosing a word. Somebody introduced me to that idea last year, and they said, choose one word. And then she went a step further and she says, then find a picture, a drawing, a photograph, something that represents that word. And last year, my word was clarity. And I had a picture. I knew immediately when that word came up what picture I was going to use, and I put it up in a 12 by 12. I enlarged it to a 12 by 12, put it in a lovely frame so I could look at it and be reminded all year long. And this year, I'm still taking a look at that. I'm thinking my word may be trust, but I'm going to
Mm.
take another look at that and see what it is. But that's a great idea.
I have the same plan. I'll be using art to express my vision board, if you will, for this year. Some things that I want to restore. And when we begin to cast a vision for our own life,
Mhm.
we can look at back to see what we learned. Where did we hurt? Why did we hurt? And why are these things important? And have you ever heard that thing where you ask yourself why 7 times?
Mhm.
Well, why do you want to do this? You answer it. Well, why is that the answer? And you do that 7 times and it helps you dig down to the real core driving purpose behind why that's important to you. And so I think as we look back at 2020 and we grapple with maybe the things we didn't want to face, and we realize a lot of what we're afraid of are paper dragons. It doesn't mean that those crazy things aren't happening, but it's our perception of it, the way we frame it, because you are a woman who helps people transform their stories. Well, you're helping them transform a story because there's a story in place.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of those things that maybe people aren't really aware of. The things we say to ourselves and about ourselves are the story. How
Yes, it
we frame everything is our story. And I think the beauty of going into 2021 is hopefully 2020 has shaken up some of those things that we never questioned. And hopefully, in questioning it, now we become malleable to the idea of stepping out of that victim mindset. I have no power. There is no hope. There's nothing I can do to I do have power. This is my choice. And what can I do? And I think those are the three things that really push you toward rewriting your story is becoming aware of what you're actually saying and also identifying what would you rather be saying and doing.
and the fact that you have a choice. You said it.
Yes.
We all have that choice. Someone has said life either happens to us or it happens for us. And if we take the mode that life happens to us, that is that victim mode. But
Mhm.
if it happens for us, it's like, what can I learn from this? I read just recently, somebody said, don't waste the pain. And I thought,
Yes.
yeah, that's a good phrase. Don't waste the pain. It's like, what can I learn from this so I don't repeat the same thing? And it's a powerful, powerful tool. But absolutely, as we want to, I don't think there's very few people I could find that would want to relive 2020, but partly because it just caught us so off guard. We weren't prepared for this. Hopefully, it has prepared us for 2021, and our outside circumstances may not be much different than they were last year. But hopefully, what's different is how we approach it,
Yeah.
in that we are prepared and that we don't have to relive that. That is a choice.
It's really all about what can I do instead of focusing on I can't. right? It's
Yes,
shifting
yes.
toward empowering yourself.
That's that mindset shift. And before earlier, you were talking about, having a vision. Earlier you talked about uh, having a vision board.
Mhm.
A vision is what gives us clarity, it gives us direction. And there's an old proverb that says, without a vision, people perish. And I
Mhm.
think that's a big part of what happened in 2020 because it caught us so off guard. We weren't prepared. But regardless, we need to be heading somewhere. And hopefully this year, we will be able to have some direction, have some clarity, and take a look at where we would like to be at the end of 2021.
I think sometimes people feel like it has to be something really big, like it has to be a big goal or a big thing. But really, after a difficult year like 2020, it might be good just to have a word that keeps you on track. It could be hope. That might be a great word for some people in 2021 to
Yes,
really say finding the hope in every circumstance. And that's what we mean by vision. It gives us something. We're priming ourselves to see the world a certain way and to look for something. It's like when somebody says to you, "Don't think about a pink elephant." The first thing you do is think about a pink elephant, right? Like, it's almost impossible not to think about the elephant. Well, this is this is the same idea. When I say I'm gonna focus on a word like restoration, I'm gonna put that on a board, and I'm going to look at it. I can put it on a Post-it note and stick it in my bathroom mirror. I can put it in my car. I can put an alarm in my phone that just pops up every day at a certain time, and it's that word to help me stay on track because I really feel like we do have a lot going on. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Linda, that nothing is wasted. One of the phrases I like to use is nothing is wasted in God's economy. Even the most difficult things, they shape who we are. And when we are in a right place and right thinking, we can take a year like 2020 and we can glean things that make us a better, stronger version of ourselves, ready to take on things that maybe we didn't think we were capable of taking on before. It's really an internal shift because we can't control that external, can we?
absolutely. And you're so right. It is an internal shift. You know, uh, Maybe when you and I were growing up or when we were raising our kids, we often measured their height because there's nothing more exciting for a child than to see that they're growing. They're growing physically. But uh, to measure emotional growth is one of
Mhm.
the most difficult things to do. And in our challenge, Breakthrough in a Moment, I'm actually going to show you how that can be done. And, that has been one of the most helpful things for me to be able to come to the end of the year, as difficult as it may be, and say, you know what, but I know I am stronger, I have more courage, I am bolder because of these things. And it's like, okay, you know what? This year wasn't wasted. There were many good things, even though I wasn't able to measure them in tangible ways, like maybe I normally would. There were still many good things that happened because it's often through the pain that our biggest amount of growth happens.
Absolutely. I think that pain is a breeding ground for either resentment or power, right? We
Yeah,
can either become bitter or we can become better. And everybody uses that bitter or better, but it really is true. And I think there's a grace to that process, Linda, because we're a little bit of both sometimes, right? There are sometimes those moments of bitterness, and then we wrestle with it. Like you said, we face that giant, we deal with that dragon, we face that fire, we go through it, and that makes us a little bit better. So I feel like it's not a straight line, unfortunately. It's a little bit more like, you're missing a wheel and the path's a little janky. But I know for me, I've taken on some very big emotional journeys and I have fought some giants as well. And I have one very powerful memory of a breakthrough. It came out of the blue. I was blindsided and I fought. And the interesting thing is, you said it. I am not going to back down. This is no longer going to be harassing me, haranguing me, and torturing me. I am going to conquer this if it's the last thing I do. And in that moment, I was so angry. I allowed myself to express it, that I was angry that this thing was still haunting me. And it was something I had no control over at any point. It was something that had happened to me by proxy, and it impacted me in such a way that I could feel it in my body. And I think, Linda, we haven't really talked about this, but sometimes our body, I wouldn't say sometimes, our body is a very big part of this journey of understanding what was impactful, right? Like, how did it feel in your body?
Mhm. And many times we aren't really in tune with that.
Right.
Absolutely. Our body expresses who we are
Mhm.
and how we handle things. And that doesn't mean we're not looking for perfection.
Right.
But even when we have those off moments, we can then deal with them. And hopefully, as we grow, there's less and less of the off moments. But to me, when those things, like the amount of stress we faced in 2020, and maybe we had some blow ups and so forth, but to me, those are yield signs or stop signs to say,
Mhm.
wait a minute, you know what? There's a reason this came up. Maybe we thought this had been taken care of completely, but there's many different layers and we need to stop and take a look at it, address it, and then we can go on. And it's really as simple as that. We don't have to keep running because it'll only chase us wherever we go, and that's not worth it.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And it takes a lot of courage and grace to be willing to face things. And it's, I think, gentleness, being gentle with ourselves, extending grace to ourselves, because it's not an easy thing to do. But I think once you've done it, I'm not sure if easy is the right word, but it becomes something that you can do with less resistance the next time. It's muscle building, it's emotional muscle building, right? You face it, you conquer that, you get that one step in your favor. There might be 100 more steps, but just take it one step at a time. And I think when we look at 2021, don't we want the world to be a better place? And we would like to see a better version of people and ourselves. I mean, isn't that something that we all long for?
Absolutely. And it starts with us. We may think, well, we don't have the power to make these big decisions. But you know what? We have the power to make the decisions that are before us every day. And if we just focus on that, there will be new opportunities that'll come. And we never know how much we will impact someone else by sometimes just a kind word.
Right.
Yes.
I was sharing a story on my podcast. My daughter and I had gone to the store to do a little Christmas shopping, and the sweet little checker, probably somewhere in her 20s, we were just like smiling and talking to her, but we have masks on, so she can't see our smile. And she said, "Your smiles are beautiful."
Mm.
And we were like, "What a great thing to say." And she said, "I can tell your smiles are beautiful. I can see it in your eyes."
Oh, wow.
And I
Isn't
thought that was an incredible experience. Like, this young girl just shining her light by complimenting someone. And I feel like that is a heavy goal for me. I want to make sure that people are stressed, people are afraid. How can I be that light? How can I be that encouragement? And, in 2021, something like that could be a goal, right? Be a light and just look for
absolutely.
opportunities.
Yes. And it may be the word may be opportunity. I love the word of restoration or recovery,
Mhm.
hope. Those are all great words. And maybe we need to give ourselves, like you said, that grace. If we've been through have had extremely difficult losses, maybe we use this year, this 2021, to recover
Mhm.
and give ourselves that grace. Maybe the word is grace,
Yeah.
because it's one of the things I heard a psychologist quite some time ago say. The problem with our world today is we are so busy, there is no time to grieve. And
Yes.
and maybe that's what this next year is all about, taking that time to grieve. And it doesn't mean, although you may have experienced loss of a loved one or something, but it doesn't even have to be that kind of loss. We've all, one way or another, experienced loss in 2020,
Mhm.
but we do need to take the time to grieve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That collective grief. I had a conversation with someone this year about collective grief on the podcast. And, you know, acknowledging that as a reality in 2020, I'm thinking about how we can take that. Okay, yes, I felt grief. Yes, my loss might not have been as great because we tend to measure, right? What
Mhm.
I went through wasn't as bad as what someone else went through. We need to pull back from that, I think, when we're analyzing what we've been through and we're rewriting a story, it's holding a space for ourselves. What did we really feel? In spite of what other people went through, where did I find myself in this year of 2020? Where did I find those trigger points, those things that really kind of upset the apple cart emotionally, and I had trouble finding my feet? What was that? And having that grace to hold a space for myself and honor whatever our journey is.
Absolutely. Yes, I love that. That's a great word. Honor our journey. And you're absolutely right. Not compare it to anybody else. It's about staying in our lane and taking a look at, okay, as we go back and review the year, these are the things that happened. It's not about what happened to us, it's how we responded to it. And if we didn't respond well, if we reacted, we can take a look at it, address it even now, and then be able to move on. And that is all part of honoring our journey. I love that word.
Mm. And really, in moving forward, if we really do actually want to move forward, not just move through time, if we
Mhm.
want to move forward into it, there is a real sense of acknowledgement that needs to take place.
Yes, absolutely. And acknowledging ourselves,
Mhm.
just like honoring ourselves, may be a new exercise.
Yeah.
And I really encourage anybody to actually write it down. Write it down so you don't forget it. You'll come back to it, take a look at it. And, if you didn't handle things well and maybe need to forgive someone else, or forgive yourself, which is
Yeah.
often even harder,
Yes.
and just do that. And you do it because of your value and honoring yourself. And to just actually write that down today. Put the date down. I forgave myself for,
Mhm.
and whatever that may be, because I truly want to go on and embrace love and kindness and share it with others.
Yeah, as we forgive ourselves, I think when we do emotional work, when we're rewriting our story, it's easy to get stuck in the hard stuff. But I think there's also this element of celebrating our wins, whatever they are. And I
Absolutely.
recently talked with someone and she's like, every day you need to write down 3 things to celebrate about your day. It could be you got out of bed because in 2020, for some people, getting out of bed and taking a shower was a huge accomplishment.
Yes.
And so with the gratitude list, you also have that celebration list.
Mhm.
I did this. Pat, give yourself, call it your attaboy list. Start an attaboy list. You got your gratitude list and your attaboy list, and really begin to almost bring yourself into your own life. I think we've spent so much time focusing on what's out there that we've lost ourselves.
Mhm.
And I think this journey that you and I are taking together in sharing this opportunity with people on the first day of a brand new year, talking about this isn't about being a different person from last year. It's about integrating what you went through and who you've become and expanding on those good things. Because I feel like sometimes we think New Year is like, we're just going to cut the last year out and start fresh. I think that when you say start fresh, you're talking about realigning, shifting, refocusing.
Well said. Absolutely. That is what it's about. Yes.
So as we're wrapping up, tell us again about your 5-day challenge, because this is the thing that's going to give you actionable points from this video that you can go forward and actually do what you need to do to make 2021 a year where you are empowered and accomplishing some great things.
Well, very quickly, every day in the 5 days, I'm going to give you a key. And these are the keys, the 5 keys that you'll discover how to have breakthrough in a moment. And we're going to do that on day 1. So you want to make sure you're there on the very first day. The first step to more breakthrough. We always need to take that first step. The number 1 mechanism to break through, the key that unlocks the door to greater freedom, and the key that unlocks the door to more peace. And with those simple keys, and I call them keys or concepts, it's amazing what can open up. And the fun part is we will be probably a fairly small group doing this together, so we can share our wins, share our breakthroughs, even in those 5 days. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Linda, I want to thank you so much for sharing your passion today and for spending this time to give my audience a glimpse of hope for the new year. And of course, I want to wish you the best new year this year as you navigate this new way of doing what you do. And I trust that this will be something that changes the lives of those people that take the time to go to the link below, sign up for this free 5-day challenge. The value is 197, friends. And the greater value than that, and Linda is giving you, is a key to unlock your future. There's no monetary value you can put on a tool that will change your life. So please click the link below, subscribe to my podcast, check out Wealth Through Stories, get in that 5-day challenge, and come back and let us know how this has really impacted your life. Thank you so much for joining us today, my friends. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.